self-cleansing and battling with our addictions has been a norm for those who believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. But some of our addictions are into negatives. And when we come to the technical definition of addiction, it's a negative behavior. When you turn it for it to become a positive behavior, then technically we call it what? A character. So many of us are battling with the addiction of gambling, betting. So many of us are battling with the addiction of what? Spending the whole of our time on football. Discussion about what football. When Allah Azza wa Jal tells us, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. You see this particular laghu, unnecessary statement and deed that is misleading us. It has become a norm. Everybody on the internet would display anything at all, and the aim is to get the servant of Allah misled. Everybody wants to get behind the mic and say something so that he will be seen. He wants to be seen and he wants to show. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ. Plenty of us unnecessary statement that have no any background, and it has nothing to do with what? Reality. Why? Because we want to get people misled, whether you like it or not. That is what is happening now. So each and every one of us, we are being bombarded and attacked by Satan. Let us remember the promise of Satan to Allah Azza wa Jal. No doubt, I am going to lie in prayer. I'm going to attack them front and back, left and right. I'm going to attack them, and I'm going to make saints look very beautiful. And the pain in me is that we have so many addictions that is drawing us into the hellfire, draining our spiritual energy, and we are not even aware of it. How can we be treated? Tell me, if you are seated in the hospital as a doctor in a consulting room, and then a patient comes in and he's sick of a disease that he doesn't know, not that he doesn't even know, he doesn't accept that he has such a disease. How can you treat such a patient? So many of us are well engrossed in serious addictions that we are not aware of. Addiction of extravagance of our time, and we are not aware of. We are not vigilant of where we use our time. The cardinal point on the day of judgment that each and every one will sweat on the day of judgment to account for it, our only raw material, our only resource, and then we just spoil it and use it anyhow with just the phone. With the phone, subhanallah. La tazalu qadama abdin yawm al-qiyamah hatta yusalu an arba. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, look, be careful. On the day of judgment, no a servant will take a step until he is held accountable for four main things. The first thing that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned is your life, the time that you have now. You have time, that is why you are seated over here. What do you do with your time? Addiction or spoiling of the time. And then the tools that we use to spoil the time even makes this particular sin so serious. You use it for betting, you use it for the creation, development, and then nurturing of unnecessary illicit relationship between you and the opposite sex. Serious addiction. You use it also unnecessary to create virtual relationship. As you sit down, you have plenty friends on the internet, and you value those friends even more than those who are closer to you, and you will come to see how it will affect your relationship in your marriage. You value what they will say to you more than your wife and children. Serious addictions on the internet that all of us will get ourselves more involved. We become so addicted to what? Illicit relationship, to the time that by the time we get matured and ready for that particular relationship, the natural and usual way of satisfying our internal quest for that particular relationship is already been exhausted. Do you think it's for nothing that people are struggling for homosexualism, lesbianism, and so forth? Because all the necessary triggers that would have actually helped them to go to establish that relationship as young as they were, they exhausted all of them. So I know each and every one of you, we have certain shortcomings in our life. Sitting down to even read is a problem for us. We know we are on campus, it's a problem for us. The energy to read is a problem. Listening to music, drawing our source of pleasure from music, drawing our source of pleasure from relationship, drawing our source of pleasure from food, drawing our source of pleasure from unnecessary substances. Alhamdulillah, as Muslims, we don't have problem with alcoholism. I mean, all these things are addictions. Mention them, they are plenty that I have no doubt that so many of you have. I can say that at least 50% of you people over here are addicted to pornography. I can confidently say that maybe from the pornography level, you have gotten to the level of masturbation. I can confidently say that from the level of masturbation, it has moved you to the level of what? Zina. If If I say from beginning of your life up till now, how many of you here haven't committed zina by hand? I don't want to ask that question. Why? Because of the slow technological addictions that right away from SS we've been bombarded with those particular things. Some countries, they start right away from primary school. My child has the right, even as low as 12, she has the right to change her sex. She has the right to have what phone. They have serious psychological, social, emotional, spiritual problems and challenges. Seriously, ask yourself, how many people kill themselves here? How many suicide problems occur over here in a year? Do you think if you have a psychologist here, the psychologist will get money from any one of you? Who has the time to go to the psychologist for any mental disorder? Go to the Western world with their sophisticated technology. The very vibrant profession is psychology. People troop to their offices for mental disorders. Why? With all those particular sophisticated items. But gradually, it isn't that it won't get to rest. No, through your phone, you have nothing to do about them. Outside, maybe you go outside and you see the billboard only once. But with the phone, you sleep with it and get up. The phone has become like a companion to our soul. That Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us, Imam Ghazali, he says that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the most dangerous of all the enemies, Satan, our soul, human beings, and so forth and so on, the most dangerous of that one is what? Your soul. That the worst of your enemy is your soul, that you sleep and get up. In contemporary terms, the worst of your enemy is the phone that is in your hand. You sleep and you get up with it. Why do you have locks on them? It's a serious addiction. And what complicates the addiction is that you are not aware that you are addicted to it, and you don't accept. As I speak, you just see me to be something. You don't accept that you are addicted to the phone. You see only the good aspect of the phone, but how the phone destroys your time, and how the phone distorts the patterns of your brain, and how the phone blocks you from accessing the internal inherent university that has been installed in you by Allah Azza wa Jal. You are not aware, and you only think about how useful the phone it is to you. I liken it to what? Water. Water is life, and anytime we are thirsty, in the olden days, we take a cup and then we go and fetch the water, measure the dosage, and then drink to our satisfaction and continue with our life. In contemporary world, we have been lifted and thrown into what? The sea, and thrown into the river to drink to our satisfaction. So we drink and drink and drink and drink and drink, and what is the end of it? We get drowned.